Ms. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you. Good evening. Today is Wednesday, April 16, 2025, and I want to welcome everybody to our special City Council session. City Clerk, may I have roll call, please?
Mayor Avila.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Damian.
Here.
Councilmember Ayala.
Here.
Councilmember Estrada.
Here.
Councilmember Lozano.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Do we have any public communications?
No, Mayor, at this time, we have not received requests for comment.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak? None, so we will close public communication. And now we move on to open session, study session, presentation and updates on the Stewart and Torch project presented by Nick Baldwin, the Acting Director of Community Development and Habitat for Humanity. And we've been waiting for this one. So welcome. I'm glad to see you here. Let's hear those updates. I'm excited about that.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Mayor. Our partners with Habitat Humanity, they've been working hard on these projects, and they are here to give an update. I'd like to introduce Grant Power. Go ahead, Grant.
Thank you, Nick. Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff. It's a delight for us to be here with you this evening. We want to talk to you about the Torch and Stewart projects that are in motion right now. We want to bring you up to date on the progress we've made, and we have some good news to share with you about that, which we will share in just a moment. First thing I'd like to do is mention that Brian Wong, our CEO, is with me here this evening, as is David Goodale, who is on the design team for both of these projects. We look forward to discussing these with you and hearing your questions. But I also want to say before that, how much we appreciate the support that we've received from the city. We have received funding. We've received a lot of attention from the staff who have been attentive and responsive to us and helpful and timely in moving us through the different steps that we've needed to take. We recognize that these projects have taken time to emerge. And we are excited to move forward because we believe that we're at an inflection point and that both of these projects are going to move forward more quickly after this evening. Next slide, please. Let's start with Torch Street. Torch at the moment has a redesign with a site plan that incorporates 13 attached townhome style units that are going to be 100% affordable. They are 100% for sale. This is material we spoke to you about a while ago, and we are basically staying the course with regards to the configuration and the style of this project. The city has invested significantly in this project already. We appreciate and recognize that. At the moment, we are preparing to resubmit a design package for design and design and plan review by the city planning department. They're hoping to be in plan check by September. At this point, I'd like to ask David Goodale to come forward so he can talk about some of the essential details of the site plan and the design for Torch Street.
Next, please. Good evening, Mayor Avila, other members. I might start by pointing out that at the bottom of this site plan is Marlinda. And just for context, Marlinda is a cul-de-sac and ends shortly after the right-hand side of the site. Torch Street is the entry to the project. And erratum, I want to point out that this site plan says 14 units. It's actually 13 units, just to be clear about that. As affordable housing, this project consists mostly of 3-bedroom townhome units. They're efficient and they are configured around a landscaped parking court. The project exceeds city parking requirements. Each unit will have its own private outdoor space, and shared open space is provided for socializing and recreation, as you can see on the right-hand side of the site plan. All of these units will be fully accessible at the ground floor, including bedrooms and bathrooms. Next, please. The architectural character of the project will interpretively reflect the craftsman style of the region, with generous roof overhangs, projected entry porches, and vertical wood composite with accent window surrounds. Next, please. This is a view of the entry from Torch Street. It will be treated ceremoniously with the building's setback landscape and a plaster wall framing the entry drive. While this is affordable housing, we feel that the architectural expression will reflect the character and pride of home ownership. In a nutshell, that's the Torch Marlinda project, but there have been some hurdles which Grant will elaborate further on.
Next slide, please. So in a recent meeting of City Council, it was communicated that there are some questions from members of the council in regard to the utility poles located on Marlinda Street. So part of our work this evening is to address those questions. By way of updates, these are Edison poles, and they are currently located in a public right-of-way outside the boundary of the Torch project on Marlinda. I want to jump to the next slide so you can see what it looks like from an aerial view. Torch Street is shown here as the square or block-shaped vacant lot. Marlinda is the street immediately to the right, which runs the full length from front to back. And you can see there are two red circles. Each circle represents the location of a light pole. Next slide. These are photos taken, I believe, by the city, which provide surface views of the location of these poles at the corner of the property where the fence is located. The street on Marlinda is evidently quite narrow at the moment, and the city has talked about a widening of that street, which would mean that the poles are encroaching on that side of it. So discussion has been taking place between us and the city, as well as the Edison utility company, regarding the need to move those poles and how far they would move and whether the relocation would be feasible technologically and feasible financially. Let's go back 2 slides. Go back up. When we brought this issue to the attention of Edison, their initial comment to us after doing their own review was that moving the poles, from their point of view, was not feasible technically. The exact reasons for that comment are, among others, that because the lines are attached in a very taut attachment to other poles in the area, that to move those poles would require extensive work on either moving or adjusting the lines as they attach to the other poles in every direction. So they actually made a request not to move the poles. We brought that comment to the attention of City Public Works, and City Public Works staff have been examining this and have indicated an interest to come back with their own analysis and a letter of determination. At this point, we believe that determination letter will be available within the next 2 or 3 weeks. We hope that that will follow after a conversation between the city staff and Edison to dig deeper and understand the reasons for Edison's reticence on this matter. The project has experienced a delay in the interest of solving this question. Our objective is to move the project forward as quickly as possible. In a conversation I had this week, city staff indicated that they believe it's advisable for us to move ahead and resubmit for plan and design review for the project, and in anticipation that a solution will be found that will not necessarily or adversely affect that site plan in the future. I'd like to leave it open for the moment, find out if you have questions or concerns in this regard. Okay. Hearing this, let's move to the Stewart project. Two more slides. Our project at 4428 Stewart, which we've talked to you about before, located at the corner of Los Angeles Street, consists of 15 attached townhome style units. Actually, let me correct that. 4 of the 15 units will be townhome style, and 11 of the units will be built in an adaptive reuse fashion, so that the existing church structure at the old Baldwin Hills, Baldwin Park Presbyterian Church will be intact. And the space inside the walls of that structure will be converted for habitation. We anticipate completing construction by late 2026. The construction or building permit is ready to be approved by the city at this time, pending our satisfying a few conditions from Public Works, which are in front of us right now. Some news I'd like to share with you about this is that this week we received word that our funder for construction has approved us and closed the loan. And thanks in no small part to the help we got from the city in finding our way forward to a yes vote from the funder. So we're very, very happy about this. This will allow us to begin construction within 1 or 2 weeks to bring the 15 units to reality. Next slide. David Goodale, could you return here, please, so we can talk a little bit about the key design and site plan features.
So here we are at Stewart on the bottom of the site plan and Los Angeles Street on the right. The original church is on the lower left. The church classrooms are at the top of the plan, and the new townhome units are on the right, 4 townhome 2-story units. All of the townhome units are accessible fully on the ground floor, and there are 2 additional units in the church building that will be fully accessible. All of the units will be adaptable. As at Torch, the project will consist mostly of 3-bedroom units configured around a landscape parking court. Private open space again is provided for each unit. And at the upper left, you're in that circle there, you are seeing the church's old terraced brick meeting circle, and we will preserve that as a socialization space and recreational space for all of the residents. Next, please. Looking here at the elevations, on the left is the 1-story church building, on the right, the townhomes, and again, using a craftsman style to sew these 2 buildings together. Here we're using a horizontal wood composite with a similar accent around windows, and on the townhomes, a similar projection of porches and wide roof overhangs. Next, please. As at Torch, there will be a frontage that will be a low wall and setback landscape that will partially conceal the parking court. And as Grant indicated, we are awaiting a couple of public approvals, actually one with the LA City Fire Department, but within a week or 2, we expect to be ready to go. So that concludes the presentation on Stewart.
Next slide. Based on closing construction financing at Stewart today, we have a schedule that's fairly rigorous. We are attempting or aiming to complete construction in under 20 months, which would allow us to have the units available for sale to low-income buyers in early 2027. So in summation, what we are bringing to you with Torch and Stewart are two projects, all affordable, all for sale, to a total of 28 low-income buyers from the community. We're very excited and very pleased to have the opportunity to do this in partnership with the City of Baldwin Park. And we look forward to working on these projects with you. And we are here now to address any questions you may have in regards to either of these projects. Stewart will come first, Torch will come soon after.
Thank you, Grant. Does anyone have any questions at this time?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so, well, first of all, let me just say that I was very disappointed at the last meeting that no one showed up, no one called. We had a call. Unprofessional. Just want to let me start by saying that, and hopefully that doesn't happen in the future. Secondly, the Stewart project looked like it's an abandoned section. Looked like we're staging for other cities, not Baldwin Park. You have one of the drywall cameras that, or I forget what they call it, that's swinging away with the wind. I mean, let's clean it up, okay? Because obviously you're here today. I'm just disappointed in the way this is being carried on. I feel like Baldwin Park is kind of your second or third area of concern, and that is something that I don't take very lightly. The projects that we're talking about, 2027, so that's incredible. That's a long way off before we see anything. And obviously, I'm looking at the dates. The Torch project, yes, that is normally the responsibility of the developer to deal with those actual lines as opposed to the city taking the costs. And I've seen that in probably about 6 or 7 projects that I could recall where in the past the developers would take responsibility for those type of poles. I understand that's kind of a unique type of area, but I just want to share my frustrations. I'm optimistic that the project will eventually get done because you are an institution that is well known throughout the country. But just I think the fact that we had a meeting last week and that no one showed up and no one called, that's not the way a business operates. So I just want to make myself clear for that at this point. Let me just start out by just saying, so if we're unable to achieve the goals of ascertaining funds to be able to move those poles, what would be your reaction, or what actions would your company take from that point? You're talking about the actual
question is if
the Edison poles.
there is no additional funding.
Okay, so what would that mean for your project?
I believe we would just need to revisit the budget and see how many units would be feasible with the additional cost in mind that would be ours to bear before moving those poles. It could change the configuration and the size of the project.
Okay. Well, the reason why I'm bringing that up is basically, as we know, we had a deficit that we were able to balance out. But at the same time, we need to look at being fiscally responsible on our end. So I'm concerned. So I'm glad you're saying that. So if there is no type of fundings available, then you would have to reconfigure the actual project itself to be able to incorporate those particular Edison poles.
Brian Wong, just wanted
Yeah.
to say thank you for these questions. We apologize for the miscommunication of the timing of the last meeting. We had the wrong time. Sorry about that. We've made sure that will not happen in the future. It was a unique situation, and again, I apologize. Baldwin Park is absolutely not a second or third choice for anything that we do. These particular projects have had some some uniqueness to them is the best way to put it. Baldwin Park was maybe one of the first cities in the state to utilize something called an SB4, which is what this church project was. And being the first, although it's a lot of fun to say you're the first, oftentimes comes with a lot of rules that are extraordinarily unclear for the city and for the developer. So it's taken a little bit of time to get through some of these new state laws to make sure that the city is comfortable and that the developer is comfortable and that we meet what the goals of the state were. So that's the drawback of being on the cutting edge, unfortunately. But it's those type of things that actually allow these projects to occur. It's these type of things that allowed for these affordable housing units to go up for sale for the residents of this city that would have not otherwise been able to happen. So hopefully, to put it in context, why this delay or why these projects are taking a little bit longer than normal, it's been a little bit more difficult. And some of the difficulty has been, as you're seeing, and it's coming back up again, is with the Edison polls. If your question was, what happens if we don't move the polls? Well, we get moving. We're ready to build. I mean, that's the solution that we're hoping that we're going to go forward with. That's the solution that Edison is saying what should occur is not to move the polls. So to answer the question is, we'll be done even faster. That's the last hang up, was what were all the various options? And trust me, we are a partner with the city. So we went slowly with the city to explore all the possibilities, from moving the poles to putting them underground to reconfiguring how this is going to work, entrances, exits. This is not something that the city has taken lightly, and it is definitely not something we've taken lightly. Our team of designers has gone with the flow as well. So as we've looked at different ways, we've come up with different plans and designs to meet your goals and ultimately to be able to build homes for ownership to low-income families. So I know sometimes it looks like, wow, could we go any slower? Trust me, you can talk to your staff on how frequently we're in communication with them to make sure that we can move the needle any way, anywhere we can, as fast as we can.
Madam Mayor? Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, and I'm familiar with Senate Bill 4. I guess my question would have been, best to have waited until everything was set to go versus, as an example, the Stewart project. I mean, it got started several years back. Go and ask the residents what happened. Oh, the developer didn't have enough funds, or there's nothing on, and that's it's that picture that it presents. And I understand what you're saying. So I think that for us, maybe something we could address on our newsletter online, letting our residents know that this is a project, but there's specific types of grants and specific types of areas that are part of the process for the full funding. And I again, I compliment what you do, because I've seen those projects not here, but at other cities as well. So it's well recognized. And
No,
thank you, gentlemen.
you know, the problem with Stewart was we were both really optimistic. The city was optimistic. We were optimistic. We were getting a head start on how we can get the site prepped and what we can do while we were waiting for some downtime. And unfortunately, the downtimes turned out to be significantly longer than what either one of us thought it was going to be. And we kind of got caught. I mean, it was like, got to jump, but then we had to stop because we had to stop, right? I mean,
I appreciate that you came down to explain that, because that's what I will share. Give you a good example of what the little joke is around that particular area. That the project, the two-story, the apartments that got built next door, are condos, went up way. You know, this project started way before them, and they're built out. But then again, that's a private sector, private money, so it's a whole different thing. No comparison.
well, we joke about it too.
That's fine.
I mean, we,
appreciate that.
we look across the street on a regular basis and go, huh,
I hear you, but I'm glad,
right?
glad you came here to explain, and you made that clear.
You know, and one more thing on this.
Yes, sir.
So we understand, you know, we're a partner with the city.
Yeah.
We're trying to make sure that everything is up to standards. We don't want anything to look trashy. We don't want things to look like it's not there. We have a number of functions going on. We're currently in the process, since we're so close to starting everything, we're cleaning everything out right now. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we're starting a big cleanup project just so we can get it to the point where we need to, so we can start the construction. Today was a huge day on the tax credit side. We know that the permits are underway. We just have a couple small things we need to get fixed. And then we're ready to go. As soon as they're issued, we're working. We're planning right now how to get this done as quick as humanly possible. So believe me, I feel your pain.
Yeah, and
I feel the same thing.
Let me interrupt, but lastly, I'm trying to, I can't think, there's an actual, Nick, we might want to look into this. There's an actual utility funding that's available. And I can't remember that because it was utilized years ago. I may have it in my notes at home, that could possibly be applied. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's called the.
For undergrounding
Yes,
utilities?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're doing some of that on Baldwin Park Boulevard with Edison.
Okay.
And it's probably back to when you,
Yes, because I remember we utilized that were two of the projects. I'm just wondering, we should look into utilizing it for this particular project.
yeah,
for them.
we'll do that.
Be able to alleviate so you don't have to downsize the project. And I forget Nick, do you know, I'll have to look it up, the actual,
So they've been doing some things on
Um,
Baldwin Park
well.
Boulevard, but they're not.
if it comes up in my brain, I'll share with you.
Thank you. I'm not familiar with it, but
Okay.
I don't think it'll
Mayor,
be
for me?
eligible for the others, but
Does anyone else have any
I have a
comments?
Couple of questions, Mayor. First, Brian Grant, thank you guys so much for the presentation and for the update. I was one of the ones that was requesting an update on the Stewart Los Angeles Street project only because, as mentioned, I did see that there was a lot of storage there and it's been there for a very long time. And I know that when you guys first started moving some of those things there, I did see a lot of movement going on, right? When you guys were prepping the site and all of that. So, thank you for the update on that. I'm glad to hear that the project is going to start moving forward. You're going to start construction of that project. So this way, the stuff is not, just doesn't look like it's stored there. The community is actually going to see some movement there. And I'm very excited about the projects, coming to light. I've seen the projects and the work that you guys do, and you guys do an amazing job. So I do have a couple of questions for you in regards to the Torch Street project, with the two utility poles. The utility poles are not interfering within the scope of the project that you have at hand, correct? And so, to me, I would not like for us to have anyone absorb the cost of moving that because it's going to be very costly. In order for us to be able to absorb that cost, then you're going to have to eliminate the project from 13 units to what, 12, 11? Do you guys know?
Oh, that
More?
would be a really bad situation that
Yeah.
I really don't want to address at this point in time, because now you're talking about moving everything in and now we have a whole different
Yeah.
issue and it is
And-
all bad.
And I get that. And to me, I think it is a lot more important. And of course, we all want to see the good aesthetics, right? So I think that there's a way that we can maybe get some good aesthetics there, some greenery along the way where the utility poles are at. I think that we should, focus on that. To me, I would hate to see that we're going to go back to the drawing board and decrease the amount of units that we're going to provide in that area there. Because to me, I think the necessity of the affordable housing for our community outweighs these utility poles. I mean, just in my opinion, I would rather have more housing there for our residents than to eliminate a certain amount of housing projects, because of these utility poles. So obviously we want to make sure that it's aesthetically looking good there. I know your project is gonna look great, but I would hate for us to, number one, delay the project even further because now we have to deal with these utility poles. And number two, shrink the amount of projects or housing, units that we're gonna develop there, again, because of these utility poles. That's just my opinion in reference to the utility poles. Yes, again, I will reiterate, I want to see them, aesthetically looking, good once the project is built. Now in reference to once these projects are coming to life and we're going to start putting them for sale for our community, are we still, and I know we touched base on this a few years ago, right? When we started talking about these units. And you had walked us through the affordable housing for sale and how you're going to sell these units and the unique financing that you have for the residents that purchase these properties. Are we still talking about that same type of funding and loan for our community since it's been, and interest rates have increased and all that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I mean, the short answer is yes. I mean, we internally have set aside funding, state funding that we already have put aside. These are, as you mentioned, 100% low income families. Again, the way that we put these out, what we'll be doing, I know it's been a little while and we have some new people, so I'm happy to tell you what we do. I mean, as soon as we have the green light on going and we know that we're going to be done within about a year, give or take, we go out to the community and we announce exactly what's going on, the income limits. Then we'll have an open period of time for all of the qualified people to fill out their applications. Then we'll close it. It's not first come, first serve. Then we'll randomize them all. And then we start from the top and work their way down. So nobody has special treatment as long as you meet the guidelines, which we'll have clearly outlined. And then we're ready to go. So all of these, as everybody knows, Habitat does not give houses away. We make them affordable, which means no matter where you are within this range, you spend 30% of your income on housing expenses, right? So then we do and fill the gap to get from what you can afford for a mortgage to what the cost is. So that is still in place. We have funding that is set aside for this. And the rules, again, we're on top of it. So we're getting excited that we're getting close to putting out the first one. We'll do one for Stewart, probably within about 4 months, I'm going to guess, is when we're going to put this out. We'll give you plenty of notice. So the city can push this out, make sure that they know why this is coming. It's because of the work that you've done to create the housing units for your residents. Then again, probably in about 7 or 8 months, we'll do it for Torch. Same process.
So just to clarify what you just said, if you have 100 applicants that applied and they qualify based on guidelines, income limits, you're not going to go based off first come, first serve. You're going to basically kind of be a lottery where you're going to
Absolutely.
random pick these individuals. Okay, that's number one. Can you just remind us, and maybe for Councilmember Lozano who just came out, I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but can you just kind of remind us about how it is that me as a resident who qualifies for this, I was randomly picked. How much am I going to get this home for sale below market value for? What rate am I going to pay? What down payment? And what's going to happen when I decide that I want to sell this property in 10 years?
Okay, a lot of stuff there. So the first thing I would tell you is I wouldn't be worried about what the interest rate is because you're always going to pay 30% of what your income is, right? So if the interest rate goes up, the amount of your mortgage payment goes down, the amount of your mortgage goes down, the amount of subsidy that I bring to the table is going to go up. So don't worry about what the interest rate is. Don't worry about what the terms are. That's going to be preset for you. The way that we get this done, as you can imagine, the people who buy our homes would not be able to buy a home any other way, plain and simple. We have a project in El Sereno for Caltrans. We renovated some homes, and to give you an idea how this program works, the first batch of homes, there's about 5 homes. We had 900 applicants. Now, there's a reason why. There's no other way for people to purchase home in today's market. The reason we don't do it on first come, first served is we try to pick different times during the week, during times, different days, make sure they're in English, make sure they're in Spanish. So we want to give everybody the best opportunity possible to hear what's available to them in the most comfortable way possible. So we want them to be able to process the information. We want them to be able to ask questions and give them a little bit of time to fill out the paperwork. It's not extensive for the lottery portion, but there's stuff they have to provide, right? I need to verify where their income is and so forth. So when we go through this entire lottery process, we go down the line. But to go back to El Sereno really quick, just to give you an idea, you're saying what the benefit is or the discount. Their first mortgage, the last home we sold was approximately $200,000. The property appraised for a little over $1 million. So if you want to know what the discount is, if you want to know why people get involved, why we make these affordable, this is why. There's no way people can afford houses in today's market. Now, there's a trade-off to this for a family, and it's really important for the city. And that is that we put a 55-year affordability requirement on that property. That means for the next 55 years, the city is guaranteed that all of these units are going to stay affordable. And that's critical. That's critical because, as we know, every year, affordability just keeps moving farther and farther east, and you are preserving all of these units for future generations. The way we do this is they form a partnership agreement with us at the very beginning, in which Habitat requires that we have the first right of refusal to buy the home. So you decide you want to retire, you're going to go to Arizona. We will buy the home back based on what the affordability limits are. We'll put it back on the market to yet another affordable family. I could give you an example of this. The last one we did was in Pasadena. We bought a home from a person who was in the military, moved to Iowa or Idaho. We bought the house back, sold the house for approximately $400,000, had that house appraised, and it was about 1.3 million. So the only reason they could do that is because of the affordability restrictions. So that's what the family gives up, is that they have to sell it back to us. It has to stay affordable. So as you know, there's rules on how, I don't think you guys want me to get into the weeds on how these calculations are done, but they're basically HUD based on what is deemed to be affordable in the area. So it's very possible that in 10 years, affordability will go up this much and maybe the market goes up this much, right? So they don't capture everything that a market person would get. But then again, this is a house they never would have owned before. And the bottom line is that opportunity goes to yet another family and another family and another family. So we think that's a pretty fair trade-off.
So my last question to you, Brian, is if I lived in this property for 10 years and as the example that you just said, one person retired, I said, I'm going to move to Arizona, right?
Yeah.
And I lived there for 10 years and I paid my mortgage for 10 years. Let's just say my mortgage payment was $2,500 that I was paying you, $30,000 a year. I can't sell the property at market value, obviously, because I got it below market value. What do I walk away with once I move out and I sell you back the house? So I'm going to go and buy my own home now at, let's just say, market value, because I'm no longer going to be under this program. So in order for me to be able to buy a house in Arizona, I'm going to need to walk out of there with something, right? Which in a regular traditional market, you would walk out of there with equity. In this particular case, what would I walk out of there with?
Well, it's hard to say because it really depends on what the house is going to be appraising for in 10 years and what that affordability level is, right? So you have to make the assumption, I make the assumption that every year, real estate is going to continue to appreciate, whether it's at 3% or these crazy years of 10, 20, 30%. Who knows what it's going to be, but it's incrementally moving up each year. So that's where your price is going to be, right? It's going to be at that affordable level. Even if let's just make things easy, say there was no appreciation whatsoever for 10 years. The money that you'd be selling it back to me would basically be, I would be buying it back for what you bought it for. Therefore, all of the mortgage payments that you made would be your equity. So you would be getting back some equity from the property, assuming there was absolutely no appreciation whatsoever.
So in this particular case, let's just say there was no appreciation. I sold it back to you at that amount. I paid you $30,000 a year in mortgage payments. Let's just say 2 years go by and I sell it. Do I walk out of there with $60,000?
You would walk out with what the equity was, right? Whatever the principal portion is. So,
Principal.
right?
Got it. Okay.
Principal.
So that's where I was confused. Where was it the full monthly payment that I was making,
Right,
or was it just the principal portion of the payment?
right.
So it's fair to say that I would walk out of there with whatever principal payment I made to you over the life of the time that I was there.
Yes.
Perfect.
At-
Okay.
At a minimum.
Got it. Okay. Just wanted to make sure the terms didn't change on us, Brian.
No, hey, man,
Sure.
thanks for keeping me
Thank you.
honest. No, this,
Thank you so much. Appreciate your presentation.
you know, the great thing to also remember on this, now, some people might be going, wow, that's just not, you know, if I had a market rate, I'd be making a lot more money. Yes, and our goal is to get you into a market rate, right? I mean, that is our goal, is for you to move out as fast as you can so you can reap these benefits. But what's not being taken into consideration, and the reality is what the person's real alternative is. It's not to buy a market rate house, because they would have done so, because they can't do it. There's all kinds of reasons why. Their alternative is to rent for $3,000 a month, and in 2 years, get nothing back. No equity, no principal, nothing. Plus have all the stress of being a renter and all the problems that being a renter is today. Landlords, tenants, fear of evictions, unsafe, unhealthy environments. The stability that home ownership provides is off the charts when you take into consideration health and well-being, the stability of family and kids and education. Every study in every one of these directions shows how much better off a family and their children are by having a stable environment. So to me, yes, there is financial, I don't even want to call it cost, because I don't believe that's the case. Compared to a market situation, it's not as good. But man, that is minor compared to why most people want a home. I mean, they want somewhere where they can set their anchor. They want something for their kids. They want to establish roots in the community. This is the stuff that you are providing to your community.
And these are one of the reasons why, council colleagues, that I feel it's very important that we try to maximize the amount of residential units that they built, right? Because our generations here in our community can't afford to buy a house in Baldwin Park right now. They're going to be moving out towards the Inland Empire, Victorville, Hesperia. And this is one of the ways that we can offer our own residents and our own community the ability to be able to continue to stay in Baldwin Park and live in an affordable housing unit that looks great. So thank you so much. I appreciate your presentation and your questions, your answers.
Madam
Thank
City
you.
Clerk?
No, Mayor. She's mayor.
You see? Oh,
City
Oh my
clerk.
God, really?
Madam Mayor, thank you, bro.
Next time?
Call me City Clerk. Okay, Madam Mayor, por favor. Sorry about that. Thank you, for those questions. Brian, so out of curiosity, what's your anticipated, hypothetical, a home would cost there, say 2027, that you would see someone going in? What's, obviously, things are changing, economy, we may go into recession, who knows, whatever
Yeah.
the case may be, right?
Yeah, you know, it's really scary. I was, we were talking about this recently. We're doing some work with the wildfires. And we're trying to project out how much is it going to cost, where are things going to be in the future. And I get weekly conversations about tariffs of 25% of immigration, deportations, and what the trickle down effect is on day labor and the lower levels of construction. And it's scary, because the worst thing for me is not to have solid information that I can plan on. It makes it really, really difficult for where we're going. The good thing about our construction, and this is, you know, Habitat in general because of the model that we have, a lot of this isn't affecting me. So I'm still looking at $350 to $400 a square foot construction wise. So even going out the next year and a half, I'm feeling pretty confident that I can stay within that range. So then you can just take the square unit because the square unit square footage on each of the units is a little bit different. And you can multiply it out and have a really rough idea on what it's going to cost us to do. And those are all in cost, right? So
Is there
that kind of gives you a ballpark.
Are there HOAs involved in this project?
There will be.
Okay.
There will be.
And I guess, so the maintenance of the home, obviously someone's there 55 years. You may
Yeah.
get some that maybe the dwelling just deteriorates. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously that's the homeowner's responsibility. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's why I was
Yes.
kind of curious how that worked.
Yeah. So here's part of the good news, right? I mean, our goal is to make sure that we put families in a better situation than they're in, which means we give them the education it is to be a homeowner. All of the people by definition, since we only deal with first-time home buyers, were renters before.
Right.
So they lived in their parents' house and didn't pay rent, but still didn't do anything, right? So what we do is we teach them, give them the resources to be successful homeowners. And the way that I know we're doing this right is in over 30 years, San Gabriel Valley has never had a foreclosure. Or habitat, yes, San Gabriel Valley Habitat.
Now, besides that, so does the HOA cover the home insurance for those dwellings? Or how does that work?
These particular properties won't have any mortgage insurance or the loans won't need to be insured. The HOA is like every other condo association.
Right.
So they typically take care of the exterior common areas and so forth.
It's going to be the responsibility of the homeowner.
Insurance,
Okay,
yes,
alright,
yes.
okay.
Just like any other project, no
Yeah, and
different.
insurance is pretty high as well. So,
Well,
all right. I'm just I just want to ask.
another
that.
challenge
think that,
for.
yeah.
You make insurance affordable too.
Yeah.
But here's something again. Now this goes back to one of the earlier questions, right? So as home insurance goes up, this is part of your monthly mortgage payment, right? So as your mortgage insurance or the homeowner's insurance is going up, that means your mortgage amount can go down because you're only going to pay 30%. It doesn't matter if it's for insurance, for your mortgage, right? That's all in. So we have a big incentive to make sure that things are running as efficiently as possible.
Does anyone else have questions?
Mayor. Mayor, I do.
Go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank both of you for your presentation. I too was very concerned with the electrical poles because when you came the first time and we were all, all in, I was adamant about questioning about those poles. And I asked and you guys were very, yeah, we're going to cover the cost because it was inclusive of whatever. So when this came back and it wasn't going to be covered, that was a big concern because I've seen the project and I've seen it for years and I knew there was going to be an issue. So I agree that we want to move forward and I appreciate the collaborations that we have with you because I feel that you guys give some great quality, product and I appreciate it and I think our community deserves it. So anything that we can do to streamline that would be appreciated. I think we need to be cognizant of our neighbors on Merlinda because, that's their neighborhood as well. And they've been having to deal with that big field for some time and the surrounding areas. My other concern may be because of the uncertainty of some things. We've been talking about costs and all of that stuff. So maybe our staff, Nick, maybe can give us an update 9 months in, every 6 to 9 months, I would appreciate, I think we would like, because I think we were unsure of what was going on as we went by and saw, and we couldn't really answer. So maybe you don't need to come yourselves, but maybe staff, even, an email, a staff report, anything like that, just to allow us to be aware of what's going on. We'd appreciate you coming, but if our own staff can go ahead and give us an update, then we're aware and we know what's going on. And I look forward to the opening of them because, when you came, they looked beautiful and we're very happy with it. So I appreciate the work you do. I appreciate the collaborativeness that you have with our community. And I look forward to the project. So thank you.
Councilmember Estrada.
Thank you. Well, I'm always excited to see Habitat. So, I just want to thank you for your partnership and, I'm very excited about these projects. I would just echo what Councilmember Damian said, there's no doubt we're in a housing crisis, right? And we've been in a housing crisis for a very, very long time. Of course, with tariffs and unexpected costs, we can only assume that people are going to struggle more financially, economically, and that directly correlates with housing and the stability of housing. So yes, it's important that we are cognizant of our neighbors, but just alone purchasing this property and demolishing those maze-looking walls and that burned down home and putting in housing there is already a big uplift to that community. Me personally, I wouldn't be comfortable, prioritizing the aesthetics of a utility pole over 2 or 3 housing units where families could be finding stability and generational wealth. So, I want to make that clear. I also want to make clear that, there's no doubt in my mind that Baldwin Park has never been second or third to Habitat for Humanity. And, we've had a major partnership since I think my time on the council. And yes, these projects are taking a little bit longer than they should, or, especially the SB4 one, and that's fine. But there's also been a multitude of other projects that we've completed during this time, and that's been the SB9, SB10 lot split, creating the ADU in 10 days, which I was there for and helped with, and also making sure that people are having ADA and other necessary home repairs to their homes where otherwise they wouldn't be able to afford staying there, or repairing it, or having to move out or getting a loan. And we know that, interest rates are ballooning right now. So there is a lot of other work that's being done beyond these 2 projects. I also know that you are committed to helping out our neighbors to the north of us with the wildfire relief, which I think is really exemplary, and it reminds us of how great the partnership is and how great of an organization Habitat is, right? A private developer, a for-profit developer wouldn't be doing that, and they aren't. So very, very, just want to remind everybody of the work that Habitat is doing here. I'm very excited. It's not just our funding that we put into place. We've also brought in other funding from other places. I know from the Regional Housing Trust, maybe because I voted for it, but, so I just wanted to bring those things and, just say thank you for being here today. And we're very excited to see projects flourish.
Thank you for that. I just want to add first, thank you, Grant, Brian, and David for coming here and giving us the update. As we all know, with construction, things never go as we planned. And I know personally, when I reconstructed my house, I was supposed to be in within the year. And this is one house only. It took over 1.5 years for me to move in because of problems that happened while the construction permits or what have you. This being a much bigger project, I imagine you entail a lot more work and there's a lot more brick walls that you come across, I would say. But knowing firsthand what a great job Habitat for Humanity does, as I mentioned many times before, and I will continue to do so, I helped build one of the Habitat for Humanity's houses out in Montclair. And just about 2 weeks ago, I ran into that person and she still lives in that house. She is happily living in that house. And I always say that is her pride and joy. And she is always so grateful. She came up to me. She says, "Remember, Alex, when you were putting my shingles on my roof?" And I said, "I sure do. I sure do remember. I know I won't be able to do it again, but
Does that explain the water leak?
no water leaks." Having said that, I know the job that you do. I know the work behind it and how many families you have impacted in other areas. And the fact that you are now in Baldwin Park, and as Councilmember Estrada said, you're not only working on these projects, but you have done other projects in between that. You have helped people that were unable to fix their houses for whatever the reason. You have been there for them. And then encountering these projects. I appreciate that you have come to Baldwin Park and that we have worked together. And we will continue to work together because providing 28 affordable houses to purchase for our residents, that is amazing. These residents, like many of you had said, would have moved outside of the city because it's absolutely not affordable to purchase a house at this time. And that you are going to be able to make it affordable based on their income, that's even better. So I appreciate the fact that you're here. You're updating us with everything that's going on. And yes, there has been hurdles. Those light poles, as Edison said, it is too difficult to remove them and very costly. I understand that, but maybe we can fix the aesthetics around it, plant trees, plant nice plants around it, just make it look nice. We can still look into what Mr. Lozano was talking about to see if that's feasible. But in the meantime, I would love to continue that project. And 2027, it sounds far away, but like I said, my house took longer than that and it was a single house. So I appreciate you being here and I appreciate all the work that you're doing for our community. And I know you're going to move fast forward so we can eventually in 2027 start selling those houses. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. We love coming out here. We really do. So if you ever want a live in-person update, we promise we'll show up on time next time. I really do apologize for that. And next time, perhaps we can talk about some of the other projects we're doing. We're starting another ADU here. We're going to keep Nick busy submitting more and more plans and all of the other home repairs that we have going on as well. This is one of our favorite spots to be because of the partnership is so good. So we try to bring in as much matching dollars as we can, and we'll continue to do so.
And maybe as an update on our website, do the Habitat for Humanity section and put down all the projects they have completed, which projects are in the process, with timelines and all of that. So people can see it's not just those projects that are going to start that are happening, but everything that they have done and they are in the process. So they get a better idea of all the work they have been doing here. I think I would love to see that.
Mayor.
Please. Yeah.
Sorry, don't mean to interrupt. I think it'd be a really nice idea if we could, I don't know if there are any of the, I can't imagine that any of the units would be empty, but maybe we can have a tour of Desiderio for the council. And I think that's the first place I toured. And it was a really, really nice place. So, that way they get a little bit of a sneak peek as, the quality and what's going to come to Baldwin Park.
Sure. I mean, we can do tours. I mean, we have some rehabbed houses in El Sereno that were basically lived in by squatters. And we can show you what we've done and how they look and what the process is. We'll have newer units coming up as well. Anything you guys would like to see how we're doing, I would absolutely love to show you all.
Thank you.
Don't forget that much of our work depends on volunteers. So we'd like to kindly request that to expect an invitation to join us at the construction sites as they move forward.
Absolutely. I just can't do shingles anymore on my back.
We want to make sure that, in the future years that Alejandra is not the only one who says, I was on the site.
That's right.
And that was my
Everybody should
fault.
be.
So,
I was there too.
Yeah, and he has been there.
so,
And that roof has not leaked, just for the record.
so for our next opportunity for a build, I'll make sure that you guys all get an invitation. We have an ADU that's coming up here in Holly. We're going through the permit process right now. So probably within the next 60 days, give or take, we can come back and schedule a time when we can all go out and do some nails and hammers and none of you get on the ladders and we're in good shape.
Hey, Brian, out of curiosity, those ADUs, is that for an independent home or how?
It is.
Really?
It's so we have money set aside for Baldwin Park. for low-cost ADUs. So for the people, I'm more than happy to come back and give you an update on the program, but basically for your lower income families that are agreeing to rent to lower income families, the cost is probably, this particular one is under $200,000 for a 700 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath unit.
Wow.
And that's going to be pretty close to what's going to be happening for the other ones here in Baldwin Park.
Lastly, does that come with the restrictions? Wow.
We have a funding agreement with you that clearly outlines the responsibilities of what the homeowner is going to be, but that's another spot where we're able to leverage funds from other parts of the state and from the Regional Housing Trust, so I can amplify the work that you guys are letting me do in here.
Wow, that'd be awesome to have.
Thank you. And we'll have all that information on the website, Mr. Lozano, so you could see everything they've done.
Madam, let me just by end. I was up where my hometown, Brownsville, Texas, where I was born. You can still get a home there for 100,000, or 175 or 200,000. I have
There's flights out of
I have
Ontario.
I have cousins that are small town developers. They went to go see one of those homes. Of course, cost of living is much more cheaper. When they think that you own a home here that's 700, 900, they think you have a big, huge mansion. Because Texas is way different.
So are their salaries.
Their salaries, and it is, if you don't mind the heat and the humidity, that's the place to go. Southern California.
Does that mean you're moving? Is that what you're saying?
Probably retiring there, but not moving now. Okay.
Well, thank you guys so much
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Guys.
What's that? No, I was looking to buy a house.
David, can you stop the audio, please? We're gonna